What's going on, guys? Mr. Randomboss here, coming at you for another video. Today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Devilz Nerf Takedown MagWell. Why I switched to it in the first place, because there are a few reasons. I've been needing a takedown MagWell for a while. Explain in a minute once we start looking at the blaster. But Devilz Nerf is a great designer. His parts are great, they're easy to install, and I want to go over a quick little video of my Caliburn with you guys today. Okie dokie, guys. Here it is. Now this is the Devilz Nerf Takedown MagWell. I am super excited to have this part, and I'll have to go over a few things with you guys. So first, if we look at it, as you can see, it is very nice design. I will put a picture of the actual takedown MagWell that Captain Slug designed compared to this one, and this one beats it by far in my opinion, since looks are subjective. Now, we're going to go ahead and disassemble the blaster. I want to show you how easy it is. So if you don't know, I've recently switched to using only Talons, so I did have to get an adapter piece. At the moment, this MagWell isn't completely done because I do not have a mag release in. We can go ahead and pull this out, which is kind of a friction fit. And this is a 3D printed mag release that Captain Slug designed that I have modified to use the extension spring. And it works very well. We'll go over that a little more in a second. Now, going over the MagWell, to actually get the takedown apart, you can't have a mag in there or this adapter piece. And we'll go ahead and I'll show you really quick. It is super simple. So what I like to do is stick my thumb inside of the MagWell and up here to hold the two pieces together. And I remove a pin, then I remove another pin. And at this point, you can kind of let it go and it does a little spring action, and you'll notice the two halves come apart. One great design about Devilz Nerf here, and I'm actually going to go against my better judgment and take out this. So we're going to go ahead and take a look on some of the best qualities of this. Starting off here, let me grab my piece, because my Caliburn does need a little bit of maintenance done to it, so we're going to go ahead and do that in this video. But this is our piece here. This is the tooth and nail component made by Drac. I'm just going to wipe the grease off because it needs to be re-greased anyways, especially after taking it out. And you can get to the spring, so you can easily change springs without any tools whatsoever. I have not had to get a screwdriver out yet. Now, one great thing, if you have to maintenance it, you can pop this forward and take the entire plunger tube out to maintenance the plunger tube to get lube in the back. That is a great design feature. I don't know if that was intentional, but it is very good. Another key component to this is it doesn't have the stupid myelin coupler on it. And the myelin coupler is great. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but it breaks. It's very fragile. This piece here surrounding this, where it's actually more that piece that takes the impact, is never going to break on you. Now, it's probably not going to break for me because I have just a K25 spring, but it's not going to break at all. This is very thick, very well designed actually. So the next thing I'm going to go over is the front half here. Very easy. So if I wanted to just build another front half, which I probably am going to do, definitely can do that. So this is my front end. One thing that I had a problem with, and it's still just a tiny bit too tight, this piece. It's a little bit tight, but it's not that big of a deal. I did file down the hole. So if you print out this MagWell, be prepared to do maintenance on it. You're going to need to do maintenance on any Caliburn MagWell. And also be prepared to do a lot of sanding and finishing up. Now, if you use Katana magazine, he has a very nice takedown version of this where the lower receiver is Katana adapter. Now, I use Talon magazines, so they're not the same dimensions as Katanas. So I printed up this adapter, or I had a friend print it. But one thing about it, this adapter is when it's inside, I don't know if you saw a minute ago, but when it's inside here, it has this where it kind of sticks out, which isn't very good. Now, somebody did recommend me, there's a version that actually does that. So instead of having the part that actually sticks out here, it actually sticks out. It is completely flush with the end piece. I will put a picture on the screen of that. Now this MagWell here, I still need to get a adapter. Now these are not the original pins that these were designed. My friend who printed these parts for me made these holes bigger to use bigger pins. Now I actually have over here, these are the actual pins that he uses in his. Now these are metric pins, so good luck finding them in the United States. But as you can see, I mean, that is incredibly loose. Very loose in that. So I ran to Ace Hardware and bought these, which were slightly bigger than the holes, and I just drilled through the component. And this is very tight. Now it's a little loose right here, you're gonna notice, but once there's tension from the spring and everything connecting the two halves together, there's absolutely no, these aren't coming anywhere. I can get the little things, and I don't have any on hand, that actually go through and keep it secure, but I don't think that's a huge deal. Now, I really want to briefly touch on just maintaining the Caliburn with this. It's so much better what you're about to see me do. Maintaining the Caliburn with a takedown is better. Because before this, I actually have just the regular version, the monolithic style. And the monolithic style MagWell is not takedown. And that means you have to take everything apart. If you want to reach the plunger tube, I'd have to take 6 screws or 6 nuts off in the back and undo all this. If I wanted maintenance O-rings, you know, I'd have to do a whole bunch more than just a few pins. I haven't had to get a screwdriver out for any of this disassembly and maintenance. And that is fantastic. If you're still using an older version of the Caliburn, I recommend upgrading to a takedown MagWell. Now, Captain Slug sells his own design, and Devilz sells his own design. Personally, I like the Devilz look. I just think it's a very solid design. It has that more AR-15 inspired look to it. But you get what you want. So reassembling this is quite easy. And I'm also, while I have my Caliburn out, going to do a quick just re-lube that. It's very simple to reassemble. You just put the spring into place, and you're going to take this. Now, this is silicone grease. It's by OT. I bought this at Lowe's. I just like to put a little bit on my finger, a little bit too much there. Get my piece and just go all the way around. And we're actually going to kind of slide it in and make sure it's set in the spring. Now, this might be in the way, but you're going to see sets on the spring just like that. And it should go in because it's grease. Put the cap back on there. So once that's in place, reassembling this is actually super straightforward and super simple. I'm going to show you. So you get the 2 halves together and you just push the ram base, which is that orange part you see, into the piece. Take 1 pin. I just do this one first, doesn't really matter, and put it in, and the second pin, put it in. And then for my case, Talon adapter, and boom. Now I can cut these pins down, so when I set it down on a hard surface, it doesn't see, it pops up. I could do that, but I'm actually not going to because I like the longer pins. That means if the pins were to ever come out, it has quite a bit of time to mess with before it actually falls into the floor or out on the field. Now these pins, very cheap. I just bought mine at Ace Hardware since I live very close to one. Some other pros of this MagWell are, now they're kind of small, but I like the attention to detail. These nuts here are done in a way which the older Caliburn, like the Generation 1 Caliburn, didn't do, but I think the newer Caliburns do. It has the place where it kind of locks these nuts in, and since I use a scar barrel and this shroud, it locks the nut. So I really don't have to worry about any nuts coming undone except for these in the back, which technically you don't have to have these on there. Those aren't really supporting. See, that one's kind of loose, but this one here kind of covered. Now, one thing that I did modification because I didn't get the printed shorter rail. You're going to need the shorter rail. I just took a hacksaw and cut this piece off here. Very nice MagWell overall. Now, one thing that I'll show you real quick before we go ahead and wrap things up here. If I take off my scope, it actually uses the old standoff way of the dart jam, if you want to call this a dart jam. Now the newer calibers that Captain Slug models, because I think this was modeled before he switched to the just the nut, so it still uses the standoff. Luckily, my Caliburn is so old that I actually have a standoff version when I first got mine. So I just stole, I'm glad I didn't put this away, so I had it on hand. So if you're going to print this up, there's a few components that you're gonna need. Now the threaded rods, I had to cut mine down because they were too long for this. You're gonna need some pins. The pins, there are printable versions of these pins on Thingiverse on the listing itself, but you're gonna need your pins, and you're also going to need an extension spring for the mag release if you plan on installing that, and you're gonna need the standoff. Once you have all those, you are ready to go. So overall, my opinion on the Devilz Nerf Takedown MagWell is spectacular. You don't realize how much maintenance a Caliburn needs until you bring it out to wars and you don't maintenance it for a while, and it can get really, really sluggish very, very quickly, I've noticed. And that's just the design. Anything that is something like this that has maintenancing and has O-rings and stuff needs to be maintenance. If you're planning on getting a Caliburn and you plan on doing no maintenance, you're gonna have a bad time eventually. I can go for a couple wars without having to maintenance this, but it gets worse each time, and you want to keep those O-rings up to date. So the Takedown MagWell is perfect for being able to undo it, quickly access those O-rings, clean it off. Microfiber towels are great for maintenance in Caliburns. OT silicone grease. I actually use OT products a lot, and it's a very solid platform. If you're getting into the Nerf modification scene, I do not recommend buying a Caliburn. A lot of my friends that want to come nerfing with me ask, oh, what can I buy that shoots hard, that's good? Like, what about this or that they've read it, and I have to say Caliburns are probably not the best place to start. And one thing that's bad about it is Caliburns are very good, and they're very easy to get a hold of without having to do any work whatsoever to get an assembled one. You don't have to do any work. You don't have to put any work in. But that's when you get things that break because people do not know what they're doing. These are not toys anymore. As far as I'm concerned, they're not toys. These mechanics here, if I was to stick my finger in here and prime it and then deprime it, I'd probably lose my finger. These are not toys at this point. They are hobby grade blasters, and that's how they should be treated. If you're thinking about getting into Nerf, I'm going to make a whole separate video at the start of the year about how to get into Nerf in 2020. Now, I got into Nerf a lot of years ago, and 3D printing blasters were kind of starting, but they weren't readily available at all. You had to know people to get 3D print stuff. And I feel like you need a little bit of knowledge and do your research before purchasing one of these here. So I hope you guys did enjoy this informational video on how to do a little bit of maintenance on your Caliburn and a quick overview of the Devilz Nerf Takedown MagWell. If you did enjoy the video, I want you to hit the like button because you enjoyed it, and that's what that is for. And subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I try to make content for the people who have been in the hobby for a long time and people who are just starting in the short run. So my videos are long-winded, but it is okay. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.